I'm ready.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Kickin With podcast. My name is Zac Holcomb. Today we got episode 41. I'm joined by Rouse Sutton. You may know who you are. You know, people may know.
Some do, some don't.
Some do, some don't. Yeah.
Some people are lucky they don't.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So there you go. Welcome to this episode. As you can tell already, it's going to be a really fun time. So really appreciate you coming out tonight.
I appreciate you having me.
For sure. You're definitely one of the people I wanted to have on. It just took me a little while to get to. I know I hit you up in like January and was like, hey, I want to have you on. You're like, cool, just give me a ring. And I was like, all right, I will. And then like 5 weeks later, I actually called you.
He didn't really mean what he said.
Yeah, he was lying. Yeah, it was all fodder. Yeah. No, that is too funny.
Well, I was so busy back then too. I had a lot going on, or I would have probably called you.
Oh, perfect. So, it worked out.
Yep.
Very cool. I think I even I was like scrolling through like my text stuff today, and I was like making it way back a little bit, and I was like, oh shoot.
No, tell the truth. You were looking somebody to get on your show.
No, this was actually today. Yeah, we already had you booked.
Yeah.
No, we were announcing. Perfect segue though. We were announcing. I was reaching out to a ton of people today to announce the big open house that we're going to host here at 300 North Heritage. So we've never actually had an open house since we moved here. We never had a ribbon cutting. We never had any of those fancy schmancy things.
Well, good. That'd be good because people can see what you have invested and what you do.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. So for those of you that don't know, that's going to be Friday, March 10th from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So we got it to where if you want to kind of stretch the truth a little bit to your boss, be like, I got to be at this thing at 11. So you take an early lunch break on a Friday, do that. If you want to be if you want to be like, it's from 11 to 2, I'm just probably going to cut out from there, boss, and call it a week. You can do that. If you need to come by on your lunch break because you can't do either of those things, we're going to be here for you too. So
awesome.
Very excited. So
I'm excited for you.
We'll hit you up with the event invite. Try and get it on your calendar. I know you're busy.
Awesome.
So.
I may be out of town, but I might try to make it back.
Yeah, no worries. Well, cool. Well, anywho, you're one of the first people that we got to meet when we moved here because Leon Steele kind of figured out that we were trying to make a move on the building, and he had us out to, I believe, Lovett's with you, and I think J-Mac was the other guy that came out, and Papa Rick was there, my dad was down and everything from Ohio.
Yes, I enjoyed meeting him so much.
Yeah, he's going to be back, I think he's coming in, this coming week, so he'll be here for the open house, hopefully. I haven't told him about it yet, so I'm trying to surprise him.
He's a nice guy. I just love the whole family,
Sure. Yeah, appreciate it for sure.
No matter what anybody else says, I still love it.
That's all we need. We just need 1 out of 10. If 1 out of 10 people like you, you're on the path to success. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
It takes one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you've been. I don't really know that much about you outside of the little dangerous knowledge, right? Yeah. But how did you get into kind of what's the background story? To me, I just know you as this county commissioner and this really awesome person that I like, rubbing elbows with when we find ourselves at the same events throughout town. And then the county, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been leaving the town of Kinston a little bit, but kind of doing the town or the county thing a little bit.
That's good.
So.
No, I'm the one that gets to rub elbows with you. No, I'm not your typical politician. I don't feel like, my family's not wealthy and have a lot of power or anything like that. The way I got into politics is when my daughter started to kindergarten, she would come home and take a 2-hour nap. Well, the kid didn't take a nap when she was a baby. She walked at 6 months old.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, what is going on? And I had been out to the school, but I thought I need to take a little trip because something's not right here. So I went out to her classroom. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. She was in a classroom that used to be the library, so the whole end of the building was glass where the sun came up. At 11 o'clock, it was 91 degrees in her classroom.
Kind of like in here right now.
And she was hot-natured like her mom, and so by the time she got home, she was give out. She was just sweated, and so when I found out what was going on, I said, why don't we have air conditioning? And, well, we can't afford it. So, of course, to me, when you get to messing with my children, that's a big deal.
Yeah, you're
my
invested.
Family.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, to make a long story short, I became PTA president and all this good stuff. So, anyhow, we started working. So we said, well, we'll buy room air conditioners for these rooms on this home. Mm-hmm. Well, then they tell us we can't afford to to run them. We said, well, we'll raise the money and pay for the bill.
Jeez, yeah.
So anyway, it was a long, drawn-out affair. But after 10 years, count them, 10, we got all the classrooms in the county air conditioned.
Nice. Very cool. Is your daughter April?
Yeah.
Right. Nice. We ran into them. We've run into them at the saloon a time or two.
I didn't know that.
Her and her husband. Yep. Actually, her daughter is at
Kobe.
Is April summer? I don't know. You had one of your daughters or one of your granddaughters. Oh, really? Well, that's shame on me then, because I wasn't. Shame on me. I was a horrible parent because she taught one of my daughters at CSS. Actually, I think.
Really? Yeah, she probably did because she teaches 4th grade.
Yep, exactly.
And loves teaching.
Yeah, that's cool.
She's just always has. She went back to get her master's, and I wanted her to, go to be a principal. Mm-hmm. She wanted any part of it. She said, I want to stay in the classroom with my kids. And I said, well, that's what makes you happy. That's what you do.
No, that's cool.
So she did, but she loves teaching. She probably puts more time into it than she should. But
yeah, when it's your passion,
it is.
When you love
it's
it,
definitely a passion.
It's pretty cool.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, I know. I was pretty excited that we were like, oh, you got modeling, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were fired up. We're like, all right, cool. She'll be all right. She'll be good for the year. She's got it from the good upbringing, so we'll be all right. Yeah, but yeah, she loved 4th grade out there. We got them in the homeschool now, which some days are great. Some days they're over there in the chair, and we're like, will you just shut up and do the work? Just get it done. Like, listen, you only got to do school like 3 or 4 days a week if you just button down and do it. But no, that's really cool. I wonder actually, like, that's an interesting perspective of like, I wonder how many people get into teaching because they really love the teaching, and then they get drawn into the administration side, and then they do all the things to get into that, and then find out, man, in retrospect, I just really liked being in the classroom with the kids. Yeah.
Well, I guess she's been around me for so long in politics and stuff that
she didn't even want to deal with that.
No, but she just likes being in the classroom and feels like she's making a difference there. Mm-hmm. So
very cool. Very cool.
I'm proud of her.
So you did the PTA thing for a while?
Yes, and then we actually, then when they went to middle school, I was again PTA president. And back then they had advisory councils at each school, and I did that too also. But so I was pretty active. And then we formed a countywide PTA because we didn't feel like that we were getting funded. This is ironic. That we weren't getting funded the money that we should from the county commissioners. Mm-hmm. And so we formed this group of all the PTA officers from across the county and really got pretty active. And some people in this town will tell you they didn't get elected because of us too.
Really?
We were really vocal. I
like that.
We didn't favor any party or anything. We just did surveys or forums, and then we put the information out. And so, that's where, like, I had one county commissioner, and I was talking to that person about it. And the person said, well, when I was coming up, we sat under a tree and were educated. I said, that may be true, and that was good. I said, but you didn't live in an air-conditioned home. You didn't drive an air-conditioned car. Mm-hmm. You didn't go to an air-conditioned grocery store. And your church is probably air-conditioned. I said, these children, that's what they're used to. So, we've got to do better for them. So.
Yeah, progression and growth is like the keys to success, really. I mean, if you're not trying to make everything a little bit better every time, then what's the point, really? I mean, and now with even technology, and obviously at that point in time, air conditioning was the technology.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And, sometimes, and I hope I don't fit that mold, but sometimes those of us who are mature, we aren't forward thinking sometimes. And that's something I sort of pride myself on. I try to let go of the past and see what's good for now. I've always been real open-minded and tried to listen to everything. Mm-hmm. And pretty much that's, where I've learned so much.
For sure. That's one thing that I picked up on really quickly having conversations with you was like your term, experienced. And then but your willingness to like always listen to different ideas and concepts that definitely weren't the mainstream like ideals of the area for sure. So like just different things with technology, things as like, the world it's evolving all the time. And
absolutely.
You've got to go with it. Otherwise you start to fall behind.
Exactly.
And that can be you as an individual. It can be you as a family. That can be you as like a business. I mean, it really, a society, a county.
And we couldn't do that to our children, and we can't do that to our citizens. It's a global economy now.
Yeah.
And so for us to be competitive in any kind of market, we've got to keep up with the times as much as we can. So.
Yeah, evolve or dissolve. I mean, there's a bazillion
that's
different
true.
things.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. If that's business, that's counties, cities, communities, families. You've got to always be. It's cool to have tradition and be like rooted in the things that got you to that point. But like you always have to at least have one eye kind of peeking out and looking for what's next. And
take the experience from that and what you learn from it, but yet apply it to the present day situation and see how you can make it even better, because I don't care how good something is, there's always something that can be improved. Yeah. Even at my age, I still can learn something. I'm still learning. Probably learning as much now as I've ever learned, because there's so much to learn. So.
Yeah. Well, plus how you learn too. Like that's another key thing of like, once you learn, I think that's like my biggest like personal, just me thing of like, I'm not the best learner or the quickest learner, but I know what I need to do to learn. Like my style of learning, and I don't know all the styles. Again, I'm not the most educated person.
Well, neither am I.
But yeah, there's like, once you figure out the ways that you learn things, whether it's rewriting things or talking it out loud. Or
that's like you can talk to me all day long and tell me how to do something. But until I actually sit down and do it myself that first time and work my way through it. But usually once I do that, I've got it.
Yeah.
But you can talk to me all day long, and I don't get it. I don't comprehend it. So.
Yeah, I'm like that too. Like you can tell me how to drive a car, but until I actually like got in it, was like, whoa, that was a little heavy on the breaker. Whoa, that was a little too far left. And that's how I'm with you on that.
But anyhow, because of being involved in that countywide PTF, which I eventually chaired, I tried to go to each school in the county for at least one and hopefully two events during the year, because I wanted the people to know, that we were active and that we were trying to make our schools better for our kids and trying to teach our folks how to do it in the right way too. No politician, I don't care what your background, is going to listen to you. You start screaming at them and telling them they're all wrong and all this kind of stuff. You got to learn how to have some communication the right way. So anyhow, I did that, and then people started saying, why don't you run for the Board of Education? I thought, no, I am not a politician. But I did, and because of my background, through that connection of all the schools, I had built a base and didn't even realize it, you know? Right. So that's, I didn't have a lot of money. In fact, I had gone to a leadership conference sponsored by the believe it or not, Cooperative Extension Service. Okay. And it sort of pulled together all the things that I had learned. And you had to make a commitment when you came back that you would either run for a public office or seek an appointment to some kind of board. Okay. Well, that's when I decided, after I learned everything there, that I'd come back and run for the school board. And I spent the least amount of money and got the most votes anybody had done for that combination of things. So, but I think it was because everybody, or a lot of people, had met me and knew me, and they knew I was not fake and that I really had a passion, and it was not about me; it was about our children. And you learn a lot of things. I did a lot wrong. Now, let me tell you. Sure. I got on the school board and I was going to change this and I was going to change that, but I did have sense enough, because of my experience in training, that I didn't get on there and say that. Mm-hmm. I got on there and I listened a lot. And I soon found out that one vote doesn't get a darn thing done.
That's true, yeah.
You've got to have, some more folks with you. So I learned a lot, and like I said, I made a few mistakes, but anyhow, I learned from them. Mom always said, it's okay if you make mistakes, but you got to learn from them.
Right. So, yeah, it's the second and the third time on the same one where they're like, are you even awake? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to be.
Did I not teach you anything?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's funny. We call that failing forward.
Yeah. But after that, let's see, what did I do after that? Oh, after that, somehow or other, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, I got involved with the State Employees Association, better known as SENIC, okay. Because I had gone to work at Dobbs Youth Development Center here, okay, where kids were placed. They were adjudicated by the courts there. And the first day I was on the job, which is the way it used to be, somebody came up to me and said, well, you're a leader in the community and everything, so you be the SENIC representative for our campus. And I'm like, what is scenic? I don't even know. But then I found out it was the organization that lobbied and that represented state employees and, tried to get better working conditions and decent pay and that kind of stuff. And I thought, why would I not want to be involved?
Right.
So I did that and was involved in the organization and worked my way up to where I eventually became statewide president.
Nice.
So I did that for a couple of years. Of course, that was a long stint because I, started out as treasurer, then went to second VP, first VP, and then treasurer, and then president, and then you work as past president.
Okay.
So anyway, I did that, and then I've forgotten what I did after then. Oh, I was doing that, and my mom and dad were elderly and really beginning to get sick, and Dad was in the hospital, and I was trying to do their finances and, pay their bills and their doctor's appointments and their medicine and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it just got to be too much. I loved my job because I was traveling all over North Carolina from Murphy to Manio and going in state facilities and trying to build bonds between administration and employees. And, it was really working well because, both of us were at fault, when you don't communicate, then you don't get things worked out. And that was what was happening in a lot of situations. And so I finally just quit and started taking care of mom and dad and stuff. But I don't regret that. I'd do it all over again.
Yeah, totally. There's only a particular period of time in which you can do those sorts of things for sure.
Yeah, it was tough. But and then somewhere along the way, I'm trying to think. I was county commissioner before that, but anyhow, I became county commissioner. I ran for county commissioner.
Mm-hmm. How'd that go? Did you run at large or did you run in a district first?
I ran at large.
Right off the rip.
Yeah, because...
Which you had the Board of Education stuff going, and you already figured out that you had like that word of mouth going. Like you bootstrapped the networking stage of all of that. So you were
didn't even realize what I was doing.
Right, you were just being yourself. Yeah,
I knew that.
Smart.
I had people across the county that knew me and knew what I stood for. Mm-hmm. And so I said, why wouldn't I run at large? I've always represented people from all over the county. So, and I don't know, this is just my personal opinion. I like running at large because, you don't get into this, well, this is my district and they want this and that. Sometimes we forget it doesn't matter what district or if you're at large or whatever. The decisions you make affect everybody in this county. Mm-hmm. So, I don't ever get tempted because, the people in my district don't like it or whatever. You'll find out what you're made out of, though, because I had to make some tough decisions. I really did. And I had some where my family were mad with me and my neighbors and everybody else. But I knew when I laid down my head at night that I had made the right decision for the kids. Mm-hmm. And it was not, I would love to have seen something done differently, but that was not the right thing. It wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It's about those kids in the future. So.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that a lot.
Well, to tell you what it was we passed a bond referendum and we promised that something would be done at every school. That was the only way we could get it passed. And nothing had been done in a long time. And so when it got to Southwood, the board members, of course, looked at me and said, what do you think we ought to do? And I said it was either remodel the old building, the main building, or build a new one. I said, flatten it. Yeah. And they looked at me and said, what? And I said, yeah, flatten it. And they said, why? I said, because I've spent a good portion of my life out there at that building with my children. And I said, I was there one day when it rained, which every child had to walk through a breezeway to go to lunch when it rained. I was there today that a big hunk of that concrete fell on the floor where every child walked through.
Interesting.
And had it had hit a kid, it more than likely would have killed them. Yeah. That was all I needed to know.
Yep.
Well, plus you could take your key, go outside the building, you could break all the mortar away with hardly no. Yeah. And then we had the upstairs closed forever. And I had been down in the boiler room and saw how outdated it was. And so I said, let's do something different. Mm-hmm. Let's build a new building for these kids. Of course, the alumni folks got upset, which I understand. But I told them, I said, nobody has more of a reason to want to keep this building than me. My dad went there. My husband went there. I went there. That's where I met my husband. Mm-hmm. I said I had my first kiss there, smoked my first cigarette there.
That's right.
And, had my first job there, I said, so, I've got a lot of sentimental value to that building too, but it's not about me. It's about those kids that we represent. So I really found out what I was made of, because I sure did get some.
Yeah, probably a couple enemies on that one.
Oh,
yeah. Some late night phone calls.
Some people still mad at it, but that's okay. I did what I felt like was right, and I still think it was, because you should never have children in a pretentious, dangerous situation. And that's all I could see was I wasn't there when it fell, but I saw it right after then where it fell, and it was right where all those little kids walked to.
That'd have been terrible for sure.
Yep. So anyway.
Yeah, it's like those things you just can't risk. I mean, it's like you just can't risk those types of things. And when you're right there and you're on like a 50-50, like which way do we go? Those are heavy things that lean.
But I forgot to tell you that the thing that made it so bad was when they had a meeting out to the school, and they had the Alumni Association, the Advisory Association there, and the gentleman whose grandfather had built that building there. And they said, well, why can't we just remodel it? And he spoke up and said, we can. And so that made me look that much worse. But, I knew that was not the right thing to do, and I'd do it all over again. And it was tough. Mm-hmm. But the little saving grace that I got was that, because I live right out there in the middle of the Southwood community. Mm-hmm. So when they were having a rainy day, the guy who did the demolition of the building went out to the local store where all the farmers and everybody gathered, and he made the comment to him. He said, this school is in the worst shape of any school I have ever demoed.
Really? Wow.
So, that
helps.
I got some of my respect back, but some of it I didn't. That's okay. I understand how they feel. Yeah. So, but I still did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, going into that you feel that you have broad shoulders, but you really find out how broad they are when you start.
And I could have been the real hero and say, no, we're just going to remodel it. We're going to keep it, but it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my feelings. It was about those kids. Mm-hmm. So
I definitely see what you mean on that. I kind of feel like that on some of the even the current buildings and things like that in the school system. Some of them, it's like, man, like there's not, and like some of them are really, really nice. Like CSS is a really nice school. I mean,
it's a new school.
It's very new, very nice. Mm-hmm. We actually, like when we went and toured that before we pulled our kids and switched them over there, we were like, this is a school like Columbus. I mean, it is well done, well thought out. You have the wings, you have the gymnasium, you have like your central area when you enter, so that you have that like full, everyone's together feeling. You got the cafeteria over here, the offices over here. It's a well thought out layout and all that too, for sure.
Yeah, it is.
I think K High is like an extremely well thought out thing. I mean, it's got some cosmetic things, but overall,
tell you another
pretty cool.
Funny story too. When I was on the school board, of course, they went through everything you could possibly think of when I was on there. But we had a county system, and then we had
experience.
Yeah, more than I wanted sometimes. It was we had a county system, and then we had a city system. Okay. And so the county commissioners, in their brilliance, and I can say that, decided that the two systems should be merged, and they gave us 6 months to do it in.
Shoo.
And this was...
That's not a lot of meetings. Yeah.
No.
Right.
And it's not a lot of time to do anything. And I mean, it was tumultuous, to say the least. But we got it done. But we also built a new central office, and that was very pretentious also. The state, in its wisdom, started the end of course and end of semester or end of year testing, and everybody local thought we had done that, so we got the blunt for that. And I don't know, it just went on and on, all the things that could happen, but I sure learned a lot. I went to some training one time, and they said, well, if you don't have anybody mad with you, you aren't doing anything. I said, well, I'm sure we're doing a heck of a lot.
Amen. Yeah, I'm doing a lot then. Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
No, that's funny. That's funny. We say that here a lot too. Rick, my dad, he's always mad at me all the time for stuff like that. He doesn't even have Facebook, but by proxy, he
knows what you do.
He can pick things out of our conversations and be like, well, you're probably riling people up again. Do you always have to say it? Can you just go back in the back of the building and just walk in the like lean-to in the back lot and just say all those things, but then not say them out loud? And I'm like, I just can't help myself. And he's like, why? Like, why are you a glutton for punishment? And I was like, I kind of like it. Like, I'm learning a ton of stuff by doing stuff, fringe or wrong, depending on your opinion. And to him, always wrong. He's like, why? But his dad was in politics too. And so to him, politics was a horrible thing because it took his dad out of the life situation. Yeah. Jesse, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Everybody's got something to offer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how different they are from you. They might know something that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely like about the whole game, and watching, having council meetings, being on Facebook is fantastic because you start to learn so much more about what's actually going on, and all the information is there. So if you have an issue or you dislike this or you think rah, are you watching the council meetings? Because it only really takes,
it used to make me so mad because, you'd have meetings and nobody, same thing with PTA meetings.
No one would show up.
Nobody would show up. Nobody cared.
But everyone's got an opinion the next day.
Yeah,
the next morning after the news article comes out.
You sure did it wrong.
Yeah, you're never right.
But, it's you can watch it from TV now, like you said. Yeah. So, or your laptop or whatever. Mm-hmm. So find out what's going on, because if you're that interested, don't just come when it's something that rubs you the wrong way. Be involved enough to know what's going on, and before you jump off the gun, get yourself educated on it.
Yeah,
because things are not always as they appear, or something may have been tried before. There may be a reason people are not doing things. So I tell people all the time. I said I'll be glad to agree to disagree with anybody. Mm-hmm. But just don't start hollering at me and cussing me out.
Yeah, do the research a little, But that's what I love about today's age. You can, when we moved here, PC pre-COVID, we moved in and none of that stuff was online. And I probably would have never, I don't know if I would have gotten really into the scene of what's happening here in the city limits of Kinston or not. But man, you move to a place where no one, and 6 months later, the world goes into lockdown and you're like, oh, but every 2 weeks there's this show on Facebook called the City Council Meeting, and then you're like, it's like the Brady Bunch of all these people, and you're like, who is this guy? Who is this gal? And you start figuring it out, and you start learning, and you're like, 3 months in, I was like, babe, we can help this. I got these ideas. We can make a difference here. And she's like, just stop. My dad's like, don't get into that game. He's like, you stay out of that. You stay out of that politics, Zach. You don't want to do that. It's a thankless job. And there's someone else that always says it's a character assassination, to get into it. I'm like, I feel that too. Yeah. But dang, sometimes you're just like, but no, really, I really think that there is a way that we can work all through this stuff. And it's very interesting to me.
Somebody asked me one time what had I learned about politics. I said a heck of a lot more than I wanted to know.
More than I thought there was to know. Yeah. Exactly.
Some things I wished I hadn't learned.
Yeah, can I just scratch that and go back? No, for sure. But yeah, my dad's father was super big in Ohio for OSHA when it first kind of became a thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm right on this, but 60s or 70s maybe era, something like that.
Sounds good.
And so on the Ohio River, coal towns, guys going into the coal mines, not a lot of people sticking up for him that wore white collared shirts. And so he kind of worked in the mines for just long enough to realize that this is kind of screwed up and I don't like this. And so then he just pivoted and transitioned into being the voice for the guys that were having to do that work and kind of doing the union thing, being all about that and stuff. And so, it took him and led them into different things. And, he obviously wasn't around the house much because he's out, he's working a job. And then he's going and doing the politics stuff. And then that becomes one and the same because then he gets appointed by the governor of Ohio for a particular role. And so they had to move from, this rural coal town on the river up to Columbus when my dad was, I think, third or fourth grade, something like that. And so to him, politics is the enemy of family life because he never saw his dad, or when he did, he was all pissed off about random stuff. So
an understanding family. I've been real fortunate in that. My husband wants no part of it, but he's always supported me, if I wanted to run or whatever. My whole family has. And none of them are, political. Now, my son, he would want to be, but I don't know. He's got a young family now, so he's busy with that, his job. But I can see him being one day. And it's sort of funny because he's Republican, and I'm Democrat. Mm-hmm. Not that, to me, we shouldn't even have labels as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because, it's not about the party wants or whatever because you're a D or an R or independent. It's about what's right, and it's about what you need to do for the citizens. You know, it's once I walk into that commissioner's room, I'm there for the citizens.
Yeah,
I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're the poorest person or the richest person or if you're whatever, you know, you represent them all. Mm-hmm. And even if they didn't vote for you, you represent them.
Yeah, they're still.
To me, you try to do something better, so maybe next time they will vote for you. So.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always that opportunity too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I really dislike and maybe at a particular point in time it made sense, but I feel like the national scene tags or stigma. Exactly. It doesn't really apply to unless you're in a major city. If you're in one of the top 15, 20 largest cities in the country, okay, it's probably pretty parallel. But in an area like this, it's extremely rural. It's totally different ballgame. I mean, this is almost a silo of activity out here, totally different to the political scene on the national level. And then you have that tagline or that tag to your name, and it's but it's really to me being here. Democrats here are totally different than Democrats in Columbus, Ohio. It's just a totally different.
And I think they're different now too than they were years ago.
Yeah, agreed.
Everybody's changed, you know.
Agreed. It's almost like every so often, it almost it kind of the pendulum swings back, and that's obviously in my opinion this is just my opinion, but that's politics in general.
Oh yeah.
You kind of go this way, and then it's whoa, and then you come back this way, and it's and then you're kind of you're always kind of
somebody says if you hang around long enough it'll change.
Yeah,
it'll change back.
If you're a Democrat today, you might actually be a Republican tomorrow, or in several years, just based on if you were actually core to your beliefs. The belief system for the different parties kind of swings and ebbs and flows as well too. It's just a part of I don't know. I'm not that old, but being 34, 35, I've paid attention-ish enough for about 10 or 15 years that it's okay, I can see how they do kind of ebb and flow. I wish my grandpa passed away about 10 and a half years ago.
Now you'd really love to talk
to him. Oh my God, we used to
you?
Get in fights over stuff all the time because I would almost just to be antagonistic. I would just mess with him.
I can see you doing that.
Just for fun.
That's my son does
17
that to
or 8.
me.
Yeah, he just gets you. He's
yeah, he'll say, Mom, are you ready to become a Republican yet?
He's switching over yet? Yeah.
I said, Jeremy, what have we said? We say we won't talk about it. And he starts laughing.
Yeah.
But
he'll remember that forever. He will laugh about it for a long time.
But I don't know. I became a Democrat because at the time, and it's true, my parents had been and a lot of other folks. And I just felt like at that time, the Democrats represented the more average middle-class tax-paying person.
Right.
And that was why I got involved. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you switch over? I said, well, number one, like I said, when I go in there, I'm not either one. I'm there to represent the people. Mm-hmm. And number two, I'm not going to look all those people in the face that have supported me for years and years and years and say, oh, I'm going to become a Republican now,
Yeah.
I don't play that way. I don't forget the people who helped me get where I am. And I had a good friend of mine who actually got me on the school board, and then she got off. He told me, she said, there's 2 things I want you to remember. She said, don't ever forget it's all about the children. Mm-hmm. And if you keep them first, you'll make the right decisions. And the other thing is, she said, don't ever forget you're going to meet the same people coming down that you met going up.
That's true.
So I've tried to always remember that.
Very true.
Because I feel like sometimes they do,
Yeah.
And it's easy to do. You get in a position and, but.
Yeah, still at the end of the day, you can't let it go to your head. You're still a person and you still have to live somewhere.
Yeah.
And in your family and all, I mean, you still have to be a person at the end of the day. I mean, you might not be continuing to get elected forever either, too. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. So
that's right.
It's just sticking to who you are.
That's right.
And if people like it, great, they'll vote for you. If they don't, who cares?
That's right.
Just go back to
and if they don't, it's time for me to go.
You just go back to living your life and doing your thing. So
having a lot more time for me.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I don't know. I was really blessed. I was raised. We were not a rich family, but farming family, and we never lacked for anything. Mm-hmm. But a lot of love, and just through my parents, particularly my mom, it's about giving back. And, that's what you learn from the good book, the Bible. You should try to help others and to give back. And so I've never been one with a lot of money to give or anything, but I felt like by becoming a leader, maybe that was a way that I was meant to give back. So
yeah, time, intellect, ideas.
Yeah, So
yeah, it all
anyway,
comes.
I don't know what it's been worth to anybody, but anyhow.
Well, they keep putting you in, so dag on.
Well, shh.
That's funny. Yeah, I think you. You ran. What was your last one? Was 2020 or 2021? 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
and
cool.
I almost didn't run then.
That's what I heard. You weren't, you were.
I had thrown my signs away. I had closed my account. I had gotten rid of all my cards, everything, contacts. And Craig Hill, let's see, Craig was going off, but he had been chairing the search for a county manager.
Okay.
And so I was chairing. Craig wanted to know, did I want him to continue? And I said, please, because coming in his chair behind you is going to be enough big shoes to fill. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, to make a long story short, we got Michael James.
I like him a lot.
Cool. Yeah.
Good people. Very neutral.
He came
You can try to get him, and he's like, no, he never, he
may
can't
think you
get
do.
him. Yeah, you can't get him. I love him, though.
But the first day that we met, we spent just about the whole day getting to know each other, and we right off the bat agreed that, we were going to have to trust each other and know each other, and, if we wanted to be a good team, that's what it was going to take. Mm-hmm. And we were so spot on about so many things. It was just like, it was almost like it was meant to be, and he had a lot of good ideas and wanted to do some things like the retreat that I'd always wanted to do, and some people thought that was a waste of money. But anyway,
it allows you to unplug and actually really put your mind. Like anyone can kind of be like, you're at a meeting and you kind of still kind of have this thing down. And you're like, yeah. But a retreat is and you can still do that, but you're there and you're. We
were going to the meetings and we were doing what needed to be done, but I'm like Michael. I want to get something done. Yeah. I can go to a meeting for anything.
Right.
And so he and I have really worked together, and the whole team's just been, since we had that retreat, I'm so proud of them because we have come together, Democrats and Republicans alike, mm-hmm. and we have really grown to have a better respect for each other because we got to know each other. Mm-hmm. Because before then, we just didn't have time that we, got to know each other. When I was on the school board, we were very active statewide mm-hmm. as well as on a national basis. So we had a lot of downtime that we could talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And with the commissioners, we didn't have that much time. But when we had that retreat and we really got to talking, and we had, they broke us up into groups, and we had to talk and discuss things other. And when you really get down to it, we all want the same thing. We may be thinking about it from a different way. And I might learn something from you that I didn't know that you knew, or you might learn something from me. And it just gives you a whole different perspective, and it makes you want to work together. And that's been the best thing that's ever happened to us. We developed a 5-year plan.
Nice.
Our budget is based on that 5-year plan, and we're updating it as we go. And I just feel like we've done some things, and that makes me feel good to feel like you've made a little bit of a difference. And it's not been, it's not been just Michael, it's not been me, it's been us as a team working together, and everybody willing to open up their ears and open up their minds and think about the citizens and stuff. And I feel so honored that I've been allowed to serve as the chair because it's been a pleasure. I'm proud of what we've done. And have we got problems? We're just like anywhere else. If you go and you talk to people, I talked to some people in North Carolina, they got a whole lot worse situation than we dare to have. But when you think about us and our economic makeup of our county, the number of retirees we've got, the number of low wealth, folks, we are so blessed. Other places that are in that situation, they don't have an arts council.
Right.
They don't have a Woodman. They don't have, parks like we have. And sometimes we forget about the good. We're so focused on the negative. A lot of times people talk about Kinston and the crime is so bad. Yes, we have crime, but you know what? A lot of other places have it too. Pitt County has it and so on and so forth. Yep. But I've learned that the trick of the trade is some of these places we realize that when that's all you talk about, you make yourself look really bad. So some places have learned, while that's going on, you throw some positive out there.
Amen.
And people forget about, it gets off the top burner, the negative, and they start thinking about the positive. So, there's nothing, you can tell me no all you want to. And if I try it for so far and we don't find the resources or whatever, then we'll put it on the table and we'll let it rest. We might come back or we might not. Let's move on to something we know we can do. So, I don't know why. I guess it's because to be a little old country farm, naive girl, I've done some things that most people would not have been able to do. I've been some places and done things, and it's just because I had good upbringing and I've been determined. I want things to be good for our citizens, for the city, for the county, for everybody, because everybody deserves that. There are too many people suffering. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people need a champion too. I mean, and it's not like you set out to be like someone's champion of doing something, because it's kind of, it would be a kind of an arrogant position to take. But like at the end of the day though, and we see this too, is like people are looking for someone to look up to. And if you give them that and you provide them with that opportunity in yourself, then you never know what's really going to happen in it.
And I think if you're honest with people, if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know.
I don't know, but I'll try and find out.
Yeah. I'm not real good with numbers and stuff, so don't ask me about any numbers and stuff.
For sure.
But I can find it out, Yeah. I'll tell you, and I'll be transparent, There's nothing to hide. So I don't know. I feel really good, I think, for what we've accomplished and the things that are going on. It's just, I'm so proud. I'm really proud of our board and our manager for leading us. And that's not to take anything away from anybody else that we've had. Right. Mike Jarman was one of the best people in the world. I enjoyed working with him so much. But times are different now and things have changed, so he didn't have a lot of the opportunities that we had, so, because Lord knows we build on what he built.
Right.
As well as other commissioners. Yep. So you don't ever forget that either. So.
No, it's very cool. Yeah, I think you're in you're a really cool person to be in the position that you're in, kind of tying it all together at the county level. Like, I mean, there's not a lot. You got to be an R or a D, but like you're a pretty neutral person. And again, like you're all in that position, or you all ran for that position because you really have the same end goal. Do you have the same roadmap to get there? Maybe not. But you all want the same thing, and that's something I think is very important. I think like you guys putting together the 5-year plan and stuff, and then now that gives you some direction of what the actual goals are.
What's priority?
Yeah, it's not just budget. Oh, let's pass another budget. Let's pass another budget. Does this budget actually pertain to the goal that we set forward to reach in 5 years?
Is that where the money needs to go?
Exactly. That's something that I'm really, really, really pushing for at the city level in Kinston. Of like, that's something that's very much needed at the city level is a little bit of congruency and togetherness of like, all right, this is where we actually want to get. We're not just trying to get to the next election and get back on here. Where are we headed, and what's actually the goal of that? And I think that's really important. Something that's kind of been funny recently is myself and Felicia have somewhat been seen walking through town and doing things in the downtown. People are like, oh, what are you guys, like friends now? And we're like, oh, but you guys ran against each other for a position. Okay, why did we both run in that position? Because we wanted to make things better. Yeah, we felt like we could make it better. We felt like we each had ideas, and we both really want things to be better. So that's over. We both lost. So what good does it do either of us in our goal? You still
have that passion. That's where you find out what people are made about.
Exactly. If you just wither away and go back into the woods and you never are seen again, did you really actually have what it takes to, if you would have gotten in there, to be like, boom, 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 no, we're going to keep going? Or do you just go, all right, cool, not in that position. Oh, you didn't get it either? Cool. So what are the things that we agree on? All right, what were some of the things that we didn't agree on?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, cool. Well, I actually see your point on that now, son of a gun. And this one I may not, but like on a lot of them, it's amazing how many things you have in common.
It's so funny you should mention that, because one of the best lessons I ever learned was when I was running. I had been paying my dues, going up through the ranks at the State Employees Association, and I was running for, I think it was second VP, me and one of my friends, and he's a big old guy, and here's a little short me, but anyway.
Good pictures.
People tried to make it, a bad race, and we were just as friendly as we could be. And I lost, just barely. But I just barely lost. But, I told people, I said, it's the best thing ever happened to me. Because all of a sudden, after being in the loop for years in the organization, always knowing what was going on, I was no longer on the executive committee. I was no longer in a leadership position. Mm-hmm. And I was back to a member. And I realized those members weren't getting the information they needed.
That's important. Yeah.
So when I became president, I said that is one thing that they will do. They will get information all the way down to the county. Mm-hmm. And I sent out more emails than you can imagine. This was a few years back, so we didn't have text and all that kind of stuff. Sure. And people will tell you now, I said, one thing I remember, said we knew what was going on because you'd send us an email. It might be at 2 o'clock in the morning, but you send it.
I like that too. You can always tell the person that's in it for the real reasons when there's no time clock.
Yeah, because I had a real pity party because I thought, look at all, because my birthday's September the 8th. Well, that's always the week that we have our annual convention in Greensboro.
Beautiful.
So for years and years, I had not been at home with my family during my birthday, and I thought, give up all those birthdays. I've given up all this time. I've worked through all my lunch hours and left Kinston and went to Raleigh and did stuff and came back that night and took my vacation to go on trips and stuff. And, and then they didn't even elect me. And so I had my little pity party. And then I said, Linda, I said, is this about you or is this about the organization? Do you still not have the passion you had for the organization?
Right. What are you going to quit helping?
Do you not still believe in what they believed in? Yeah. And I thought, girl, you better pull yourself up and get back to work or get out one. Mm-hmm. And so I did. But I had to learn that. That was one of the biggest experiences I think that I learned because I became a regular member. Mm-hmm. So I was not in the know. So I knew what it was like. Mm-hmm. And so, you always learn.
Yeah, like what is perceived as a setback actually in retrospect turns out to be like one of the greatest things that push you forward to the next level.
And
that's cool.
Timely
too.
Yeah. And they always say God's got a plan. And sometimes I say, look, Lord, I'm a little impatient here. We need to move on this. And I know it's in your time and your way, but I'm ready. And I don't have patience. But usually there's always a reason. You either learn something from it or the timing wasn't right, but you couldn't see it at the time.
Yep.
It is amazing. So, I've learned to be patient. I've learned to try to turn it over to Him. I'm not perfected it yet, but I'm better than I was.
It's a path. You at least know where you're headed.
Yeah.
No, that's really timely for me. I kind of get like that too. It's something, so I don't know if you ever heard this analogy. Usually when I tell people that it's not like a very mainstream thing, but it's I relate it all to like a hermit crab. Mm-hmm. Sounds stupid, but
no, I know where you're going.
You know this one?
I sure do.
So for those of you that don't know, this is a thing that I just always relate to. Like when you start feeling uncomfortable, it's because you just need to like double down and just it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But you got to do some things when things get uncomfortable. So if you don't know the story of a hermit crab, and I probably told it a time or two, but a hermit crab it grows in perpetuity. So it's always growing. The actual crab in the shell is growing. The shell doesn't grow at the same rate or at all. I don't really know the technical thing there. Not a biologist. Mm-hmm. But a hermit crab will feel like it's living its life. It's in its shell. It's got plenty of room to grow. It's comfortable. Everything's awesome. And then as it continues to grow, it gets a little uncomfortable and it feels like its walls are closing in on it a little bit and it starts to freak out a little bit. So there's two different ways that the hermit crab can go about its life from that point. It can either say, I don't really like this sucks, and it just kind of like burrows into the sand or it just kind of does whatever and it just continues to feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't really seek out a plan to move to the next shell. So a hermit crab needs to basically to survive, it needs to go along and it needs to keep being out there and keep trying stuff and keep looking and searching and eventually it will find another shell that is open, no crab in that shell. Maybe it's a shell that another crab has just recently moved out of or it's just one that's been laying around. But long story short of it is the crab needs to find another shell to move into. If it doesn't, it will get so big that it gets stuck in its current shell and it will actually die within its shell because it can't get out and it just I don't know the real story behind it, but it dies. So the hermit crab, and this is where I feel in life, is like you start getting uncomfortable. It's not a time to burrow down. It's a time to start searching. Mm-hmm. You start searching. You need to find the other shell. Now you get to it, you're like, cool, that one looks a little bit bigger. I think I'll be more comfortable in there, but you don't just like close your eyes and boom, you're in the new shell. You've got to actually pull yourself out of the current shell, be open and out there on the sand where the birds can come and get you. And you got to make your way over to the other shell and get down into it. Yeah, you got to get to where there's more opportunity for growth. And that's like one of the big, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't like this. I feel like
I'd rather get under the sand.
Yeah, that sand looks fine down there. No one can get me in the sand. This is way safer down here, but you'll just go to the sand burrow down there and kill yourself. But it's like sometimes, especially like here recently, I've been feeling it a little bit, and it's like you feel like everything is sitting on your chest and you just can't breathe, and you're like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, I can go back in the lean-to and put my head down and cry and be like, I just don't like this. It stinks and it sucks, and everyone please feel bad for me. Fair. It's not fair, yeah, and I don't like it. And I wish someone would just drop the $100,000 in the envelope under the door, but that's not happening. No one's gonna come and be like, here's your new shell and ram you into it. You got to actually go find it and take the time. And
you got kids now.
Yeah,
who depend on you.
Exactly. That's the other thing. You got kids or employees or other people, and then you got their kids. Yeah, and it's like your wife. It's like, holy cow! It can be a lot of pressure and stress, but it's just, it's part of it. We asked for it, That's what I got to remind myself.
That makes me think of another story. When I was president of State Employees Association, we were at convention one year, and it was a really big issue. We were trying to decide if we were going to affiliate with a union or not. Mm-hmm. So it was just, we had done everything we possibly could to make sure that people were educated. I even got a professional parliamentarian, so we usually use our own folks, so it wouldn't look like we were trying to sway our members one way or the other. Mm-hmm. They voted in actual voting booths, like you do for a regular election, so nobody would have influence over them or they felt pressured again. And I don't know what was going wrong, but anyway, I was in a tizzy. And my parliamentarian, my regular parliamentarian who was a member, he was a retired state trooper. He looked at me, he said, Linda. I said, yes, sir. He said, just settle down. I said, but. He said, remember, you asked for this. I have never forgotten that. Mm-hmm. Yep. I thought, well, you're right. I said, all right, girl, get it together.
Yep. I totally feel that. That was a conversation with Dad today out in the back. I was back there going, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, man. I feel like I got myself all tied up, and I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel like there's no way out, and I just don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, you're just going to figure it out. He's like, remember those wrestling matches where you just got choked out and you're like laying on your back and you made it all
of a sudden,
and then you got up and then you let him do it again and then you made it, and then he's like, you're going to be fine. Like, you just quit being a baby. You asked for this.
That's right.
Well, I just don't know. I can't do it. I don't know. I can't. And he's like, well, remember, you're the one when we all said, are you sure you really want to do that? Because it sounds crazy to us. You were like, I want this. I can. So you can. So shut up and quit being a baby. Just go back in there and figure it out. Yeah. And I came up to, this is literally today. And I came up today and I was like, I was feeling bad. I walked in the room and Steph looked over at me and I was just like, I can usually keep it in. And she looked over and I was just like this, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I went out to the lean-to and Grant went back there with me and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I was like crying about it, like being a little baby for a minute. And I was like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Like I feel like I trapped myself. I feel like I got myself into this situation. I don't know how I'm going to get out. And, I felt bad for myself for like 20 minutes. And then I came up here and I was like, we're going to do an open house. We're going to blow it up. We're going to have everyone come down. It's going to be like a ribbon cutting on 100.
And son, I hate to tell you, but you'll be going through those same things when you're mature like I am.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, it's like, how long, if I would have never pushed myself into this uncomfortable situation, how long would I have lived in the comfortable thinking everything's cool and easy breezy? And then, 10 years from now, I still would have ended up in that. So, over time, I'll get better at it, but it's just part of that experience, it's part of that stuff that makes you think, like, when you start hitting those events, it's whatever, like, cool, another bump, just another little thing, and it's all gonna work out. The only thing is just don't quit.
That's right.
Don't quit and believe.
That's the thing to remember.
Gotta believe.
Well, I've been through a lot of things that I thought could never happen, would never happen, and the next thing I know, we're through it, and it was done. Mm-hmm. I've seen people who, they were doomed to die of cancer or whatever, stage 4. And, they made it.
Figure it out. Yeah.
That's right. So never, as Valvano used to say, of course, I'm a big State fan anyway, but as he used to say, never, ever, ever, ever give up. And that's you just got to think that way.
Yep. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Very cool. Man, isn't it cool how those things just kind of happen to you on those days? And it's just like someone doesn't even realize it, and they're like speaking to your soul a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God. I love it. I love it. Well, cool. Well, you're definitely one of those people I definitely look up to here, obviously, because we came across you so early. We crossed paths, and thanks to Leon Steele for like putting that breakfast together that one time, because it was that, and then we hit you up. I think we saw you down at, what would it be, the county offices or the courthouse, or whatever that would have been that time, and met with Michael, and then it's just always been something, and you're kind of one of those people. I don't really reach out to you too often for really much of anything, but you're definitely one of the people I think of when I'm like, man, just keep going. Because I had heard your story about those things. Like, you had told me that stuff before, and so I'm glad that you're able to share it with everyone and kind of give that kind of that depth to people that maybe don't know.
I just thought you didn't love me anymore.
I know. I feel terrible.
No, you're busy and I'm busy too. I know. I kept thinking, just like the money thing, For you folks who don't know, I think it was the Barbecue Fest 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2021.
I was helping out down at the Visit Kinston office then. And Zac came by and he was selling T-shirts. And I said, Zac, I'd really love to get one, but I didn't have any money on me because it was in my car because I'd been working and stuff. He said, here, take it. And he said, I'll get it from you later. And every time I'd see him, I either didn't have the cash or either I'd see him over yonder and spoke to him or whatever. So tonight, I came in with his money 2 years later. And I said, I bet you thought I'd forgotten this, didn't you? But I didn't. You know how you it's sort of like I live out of town a little ways. And you think, well, on the way in, I'm going to stop by here. No, I'll wait. I'll be coming back and forth, so I'll do it later.
Yeah, and the phone rings. And
So I said, I guess it's good he invited me. He finally gets his money back.
That's funny. This is the first paid podcast I've ever done, so I appreciate that.
You cheap too.
yeah, no doubt. Not bad, right?
No,
you can get a lot. You get a lot of space, a lot of words, a lot of words in for your money here.
I'll do business with you again.
Yeah. Anytime we got the ad board up there, you just let me know next time you're running. We'll slide you up there.
I saw you up there washing the windows.
Yeah, some bird got me today. It's maybe a couple of days ago. And so I was up there today when I was like swapping. So we put everything in there on like a flash drive. So we create the ads and we put it on a flash drive and we plug it into the TV. So I had to get up there to add. Shameless plug. Had to add the ad space for Kristen Goyette's show. So she's got a little show. She's a mortgage loan originator now. She's doing a podcast with us called Keeping It Real with Kristen.
I've seen it.
So we had to plug it in there a little bit. And I was up there and I saw it and I kind of like, damn it, it's on the outside. So I had to break my ladder down. And then thank God Grant hooked it up. He puts the ladder up, lets me climb up there. And I was like, I'm just going to clean just this pane. So the other three are, if the other three are a little dirty, this one will really pop. I'm just trying to really drive by. Anywho, just a little shameless plug on the marketing stuff. But yeah, I love doing that. Marketing is definitely my favorite thing.
I haven't seen Grant in person in a while. I'll keep up with him on Facebook.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah, he was in here when you came through. So, very cool. Yeah, I was like, I think she's not going to be until 6:30. They're like, all right, we're rolling out. And then he goes, well, tell her I said hey. And he turns around and goes, I'll do it. She's right here. And I was like, sweet, perfect. Well, you're like, sorry, I'm early. I was like, this is great timing. We were just doing the thing. So
you first said 6, and then I said, I knew I had this other event. So I said, I might not be through. I better tell him 6:30. And so I saw it was, I think, 5:45. And I said, I wish he would be down there. I'm going to ride down there and see. Because I'm leaving here and going to Raleigh.
Oh, right on, yeah.
So,
get you out of here. Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool.
So it worked out good.
Yeah, it worked out perfect. I really appreciate you coming out and doing this.
I appreciate you having me. I've enjoyed it. We had to do it again.
Oh, for sure. Anytime. You got
something.
I
don't know that I'll pay you.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do it. Pro bono on the next one. I got you.
Do I get a discount?
Absolutely. Too funny. Well, cool. Thank you for coming down and doing it. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
If you don't know Linda Rouse Sutton, you should. And, check her out. You can definitely find her on Facebook and all those fancy fun things. This is one of your county commissioners in Lenoir County. So kind of what you had mentioned just really quickly, if you don't pump the positive, the negative is always there. And so that's the whole point of the whole podcast is if I can put out 100, 150, 200 of these suckers every year, or at least in year one and keep rolling it from there, we're going to start driving down the negativity by producing more positive content about this area, because it's not just the city of Kinston, it's the whole county of Lenoir County, and There's a lot of freaking opportunity here that a lot of people are taking for granted.
I know, and that's another one of my pet peeves.
Mm-hmm.
I see people get on Facebook and they say all these negative things.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm not saying we don't have negative things going on. But folks, you don't realize the eyes we've got on Lenoir County.
Yes.
You don't realize the things we are on the cusp of.
Yep.
And it does make a difference. Mm-hmm. We have lost some things because, people just open their big mouths.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
or the perception.
Yeah, the perception.
Yep.
So, if you want things to be better, if you want more shopping, if you want this, if you want that, help us be positive about it.
Amen. That's my number one thing. If you are complaining that there is not enough to do here, there's not enough places to shop, and we need more businesses, then shut your mouth when a new business is opening. Shut up. Mm-hmm. Say nothing. Unless you have something nice to say about the new Petco, we don't need it. Save it. Because you just make you make all of us look like fools because you have people like this that are courting businesses and trying to bring economic development. Grants are cool, but if you have economic development, you don't have to be worried about begging for grants all the time.
And it keeps your tax rate down.
You can pay for yourself. It's a crazy concept. I know. It's crazy. Not a lot of grants going to the major cities that are growing. Mm-hmm. The ones that are decaying are focused on grants. If you focus on economic development, the grants take care of themselves. They're icing on the top.
And come see me. Come talk to me. Tell me about your negative things, and then I'll tell you about the positive things.
I like that too.
Very cool. I'm 24/7. I listen.
That's true.
I've got a good ear.
That's true. Very cool.
I've served you. I'm your servant, so call me anytime.
At least 2 more years.
Well, I've got till 24, December 24.
Yeah, at least.
Oh, let's see. I'm not getting any younger.
Well,
But,
we need you.
Age is numbers only.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm my age.
It's on your head.
Yeah. Some people said, when are you going to retire? I said, I already have twice. I said, I don't want to retire. I saw my parents, bless their hearts, as they got older, they would stay inside, and they got to the place where they didn't use their muscles and stuff, and they got to the point where they really couldn't. So I have been bound and determined that, I'm not going to be that way. And, they had a lot of ailments and stuff too. But, everybody said, why don't you slow down? I said, well, this is what I love. It's my passion. The citizens are my passion. And I feel like if I stop, I'll die, because I've got to have something that drives me. I've got,
something to wake up and,
And my children are great, and I'm not too high on the social calendar of my grandchildren anymore as I used to be.
Right.
But, I like feeling like I've made a small difference, or I've helped make a difference, because to me, that's part of my responsibility.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. You made a difference in my life today, because very timely. We didn't set this up today, but very cool that it fell on today. Cause
I'm glad.
Some of the things we talked about were some things I was literally in my head about today. So awesome. Love that stuff.
God has a plan.
That's right. And contrary to popular belief, I'm a pretty positive guy.
I
have days where I'm literally like, blow my freaking head off. I can't take it anymore. But
that's why I think I was so drawn to you when I first met you, and your dad and your whole family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I thought, I love this. They're just working together, a good family.
Yeah. Trying to do it.
Trying to make things better.
Trying to make it better. That's right. Well, cool. Appreciate you all tuning into this. This was Kicking It With, episode 41 already. I'm Zac Holcomb. This is the wonderful Linda Rouse Sutton. Y'all have a great one. We'll catch up with you on episode 42.
Good night. That was fun.